Hi, I'm Torben. I'm CEO in BLOXHUB, which is part of BLOX, the green building that you see in the background. Every day I talk to companies and researchers and public authorities that strive for creating a more sustainable future. I truly believe that we have a fantastic opportunity to solve this issue, but we need to stop discussing basic facts and we need to start talking about solutions. Therefore, I've talked to a handful of inspiring bright minds from the BLOXHUB community. And here's why they believe that we can actually change and create a more sustainable future. A far better future than the one we grew up in. Have a look.
Now, when we work with the future, which we do every day, one important lesson is to look back in history. And if we do that just briefly, we go 4.5 billion years back, and this is where Earth starts, right? Then 4 billion years ago, we get the beginning of nature. So she's a pretty old lady. Now, we've only been here for 200,000 years as humans, and yet in that short span of history, we have created everything we see around us, the structures, the societies, the ideologies. We've created cities. And unfortunately, last year, we passed a threshold that we had created more mass than Earth had, so more than biomass. So human impact is now visible. Now, one that's a worrying notion, you can argue, but it also shows the human ingenuity, what we can do when we put our mind to it. Now, the one thing we have to respect is laws of nature. So Newton says that energy cannot be created, nor could it ever disappear. And yet we treat our resources as if they're infinite, and we treat our waste as if it's something that disappears. So if we just grasp that notion of laws of physics, learn from nature that we can have our circularity, that is not something we invented, it's just going back to how things have worked for 4 billion years, we can make change. Now, I'm very hopeful about change, because one, the realization seems to be there. Two, I have a lot of hope in youth. We have built the societies that we have. We've built alliances, we've built political structures, we've built cathedrals. If we put all of that human ingenuity, add to that the notion that change has to happen now, the energy of the youth who seem to care, then I do think we can bring about change. And we will be concentrated in cities, so making a change in cities could actually make profound change everywhere. So I think we have a good starting point, and we have all the means necessary to do it. Now we just need to get started.
I'm here today to tell you that I actually believe that we are able to attain all of our goals regarding climate reduction, etc., by using positive tools. I have here an example from Denmark. It shows during the last 25 years that our GDP has been able to grow but almost doubled. And at the same time, we have been able to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions rapidly. How was this possible? By using smart regulation. Of course, we made demands on energy efficiency, on buildings, etc. And at the same time, we made huge investments in green technology, wind farms, cleaner water, etc. I really believe that over the next 30 years, we're able to attain the 17 SDGs, able to reduce poverty, able to take care of our climate change. And I really, really hope that politicians all across the world will use these smart regulations for us to attain our goals.
My vision is that we will build, in the future, societies and organizations and even people that are anti-fragile. Now, anti-fragility is of course the opposite of being fragile, but it's also something more than just being robust or just making it through. And not least when it comes to climate change and the green transition, the transition to a more circular economy, we need to not just do it well, we need to improve the planet. We need to get even better and stronger than before. The good news is that that vision is possible, and it is possible not least through design. Designers have the ability to involve users, experiment, test, prototype, and not least visualize how a better future could look like and influence the behaviors we all need to change. In order to realize the vision, we of course need to collaborate. We need to collaborate across public and private sectors, including the civic sector and academia, and we do need to collaborate across different competencies and skills. If we do that, absolutely that vision is possible.
I'd say there's 3 things that particularly make me think that we could get a promotion of our lifetime here. And One is the techies, the entrepreneurs, the innovators that I've had the pleasure to follow for about a decade that are not only obsessed with decarbonizing the economy, but that are starting to fall in love with nature at a very deep level. Reverse engineering secrets that nature has kept secret for millennia. Biomimicry, fungi-based electronics, you name it. Then we have governance, what's coming out from the European Union towards science-based targets and progressive companies that are moving away from sustainability and towards regenerative, towards actually giving back to the ecological debt that we've accumulated over time. And lastly, I'd say the consumers or people that are showing us how this moment in time, we are malleable, our brains are malleable, and we can, what seemed radical 2 years ago is no longer radical. So as leaders, we're really asked to go more radical, to be braver with our visions, and I have the pleasure to see that that's actually happening in the conversations, but also the visions and strategies that I have the pleasure to be part of developing.
The construction industry that I represent today is accountable for 40% of the carbon impact in the world and 30% of the waste and garbage that is produced. So that's why we have a huge responsibility, but also a huge possibility to make a positive impact for the future. I think we should start to focus on what we know that works. That would be to put a price on carbon. If we cannot do that by law, I think we should do it by raw will, because we have the skills and the knowledge to do it. Then we have in Denmark a very special culture and a lot of good experience in collaborating between the public sector, universities and private equity firms and even the private industry. So if we can scale that up and even reach out to collaborate abroad countries with other industries, that would be the way forward and make us tomorrow's heroes actually.
There's no time to waste, so thank you and join us on the ride.